Do you feel the fight? Can you see the encroaching evil as it attacks your family and your community? It's time to rise up with the heart of a warrior and make a stand for those you love. You're listening to The Warrior's Heart. I'm Chuck Black, former F-16 fighter pilot, speaker, and author of 22 books written to strengthen the faith of you and your family. It is my heart to equip you to live for Jesus Christ in this compromised culture of today.
Welcome to the Warrior's Heart podcast. This is a special episode that isn't part of our normal season. Today, we're doing a behind-the-scenes look at Journey, Chuck's newest episode of the Starlore Legacy series. Join me as we find out some fun details behind the writing of the book, discover the direction of the series, and see Chuck's heart for everyone that reads his book. Welcome to the Warrior's Heart podcast. We have an extra special episode for you today. This is not in our normal podcast lineup, but what we're doing is we're giving a little brief behind the scenes for Chuck's newest book that's coming out called Journey. This is the newest installment in the Starlore Legacy. And let's get right to it.
Let's go for it.
All right. So Starlore Legacy, your series that you've been working on for quite some time now.
Yeah.
It is a 12-book series, and this is book
8.
I was about to say 9, and I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Episode 8.
Episode 8. So for those of you who may not be familiar, the Starlore Legacy is a loose allegorical representation of the Bible. Starting in, well, I don't want to give it away if they haven't read it, so I'm not going to say exactly starting when, but it starts at the beginning.
I think we're going to have to get a little bit away. Otherwise, we won't be able to talk about it.
We won't be able to talk about any of it. But for this book specifically, we're already at book 8, so we've marched quite a bit of the way through the Bible.
We have.
So where did we just finish in the last one, and where are we going to be at the beginning of this book?
Yes. The last book ended with Stephen being martyred.
Right.
And of course, that is where we first learn about Paul, because he was there holding the coats of those that were stoning Stephen. So I just found that story of Paul is so intriguing. And so Journey is really Paul's story. It's the beginning of Paul's story. And I have always just speculated what was going through Paul's mind as he was watching this go down. He was a Pharisee of Pharisees, as he calls himself, so well-versed in the scriptures, and watching this all transpire before him. And then, of course, that road to Damascus event that just shakes his world upside down, and all of the spectacular things that happen after that. Yeah. So, like you said, Tess, it's definitely a looser allegory, and they're more metaphorical, but I mean the connections are definitely there, very strong. I just have I take a little bit more literary freedom as I describe
more creativity
that.
with some of the extra things that happen in the story.
But and so go back to Creed. Ledger obviously represents Paul. Yes. And Stone represents Stephen. And in the story, they're brothers. And in real life, Stephen and Paul were both Jewish, so I basically use that metaphorical relationship of their brothers as Jewish people, but
sons of Abraham.
Sons of Abraham, exactly. And so I just took that and expanded that a little bit for the story. Yeah. And wrapped up the tension.
Yeah. Now this is going a little off script here. Okay. This is not the first time you've written about Paul.
No. Very true. Yeah, the Kingdom series. Yeah, Kingdom's Call and Kingdom's Quest. Sir Gavin and Sir Gavin. Yes. I have a fun time with that amazing biblical character. Paul is just incredible, and what he did to bring the gospel to the Gentile world is profound. So
I don't think you know this. Our read aloud right now is Kingdom's Call.
Oh, it is.
It is. So I'm surrounded by Paul right now. We've got all the stories. Oh, I'm sorry, I dropped this. Of Paul happening in my life right now.
Interesting.
Who knows what God is trying to teach me through that.
Right. There's a lot to learn.
There is. Now, this story is obviously very big. The Bible itself is huge. And so there's a lot to draw from for this series.
Yep.
Now, you knew this series was going to be big from the beginning. You knew from the outset that this was going to be 12 books.
Well,
Roughly?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
No?
So when I first considered a science fiction series, I started off with, I thought, well, we'll do 3. I think 3 will cover it. Mm-hmm. And then as I fleshed out what those 3 were going to look like, I thought, man, that's not going to quite do it. Maybe we'll go to 6. And that'll match the Kingdom series, the Night series. And then as I worked through that, I thought, that's not going to do it either. So I went to 12. It took me a little while to get there, but and now.
So this was all in the planning process as you were
was.
figuring out
Right.
what elements you were going to be including in the story.
Right. And now that I'm on book 8, I'm thinking, man, I hope I can get it all done in 4 more books. So,
Well,
and
I
I'm
think
not the
there
kind.
are plenty of readers who would not complain about more than 12.
Well, I don't want to drag it out. I'm not the kind of guy that drags something out just for the sake of filling space. I don't do that.
No, you pack a lot into every book.
You do. And
Speaking
so-
from experience, as one of your editors,
Yep.
it's pretty incredible.
But basically, I have to cover, the last 2,000 years plus Revelation in the next 4 books. So there's
that's a lot.
There's a lot there. So
Yeah, good luck.
I don't know.
So you had a general idea then with
Yeah.
the 12 books ahead of time before even
Yeah.
going in and starting on Nova.
Right.
How much of this one did you specifically have flushed out before you started writing it?
Well, I have a good sense where each book is going to start and end.
Okay.
But the middle is, I've discovered that when I start a story that, I start being very plot driven, but my characters become quite real. And so they kind of take over and they kind of drive the story where it goes. And so to be honest, I probably had less planned out for this one than I did any of the others. Because as you know, I wasn't going to even write this book this year.
I know.
So I don't know if you know this, but I told my team here that I'm exhausted and there's so many things happening that I don't think I'm going to be able to pull a book off this year. And so,
and then you came to us in November and you were like, I started writing it. And we were like, you what?
Yes. And so that was a real surprise. So because of that, I had less planned of this book than probably any other book. And so.
So how was that for the writing process? Because that means that this was a little bit different for you than other books that you've written.
Yeah, I'm not a seat of the pants writer like some authors can pull off. That's not me. I'm very planned out and analytical.
You're an engineer.
Yeah, I'm an engineer. So this was different. And it made me nervous, honestly. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out because I wasn't sure where it was going to go.
For those of you who don't know, this is very accurate. He came to myself and your team too, but speaking several times about how I don't know about this one, guys. And you say that about every book, but you were more emphatic this time around.
It's true.
Than with some of your others.
It's true. So I was pretty anxious about it. But I will say I just submitted the manuscript to the printer 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I told my wife Andrea, I said, of all the books, I think I'm more satisfied with this one than I've ever been. And so that's got to be the Lord. God just swooped in, and in spite of my weaknesses, He helped me finish it out. And I think it felt really strong at the end. So.
Well, it went through quite a few reviewers and editors this time around as well.
It did. It's probably the most edited book I've ever written. I have a fantastic team. Tess is a big part of that. Anna and James on my social media, they're my social media experts, and also my beta readers and editors, and Andrea and my daughter Brittany. There's just an incredible, and then I also, after they're all done with it, I've really been through the gamut here with editing. I send it to a professional editor, Rena Fish, and so this has been through it, and so it feels good.
Good. Well, I loved it. Personally, just going to throw that out there. So do you have any interesting stories or any interesting things that happened while writing this book that you can remember that would maybe be found interesting to the people who love and follow your books?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think the interesting thing about this book is that it actually got written. So I really, really was not going to, because I just didn't think I had the capacity to do it,
Yeah.
or the energy, or the time. And because I had conferences that really went late this year, and so I just didn't feel like we could pull that off. But Andrea and I took a trip out to Montana, and we have a little fixer-upper out there. And every time I go out there, I have 15 different jobs.
So
I'm
many
supposed to do.
to-do lists
And
out there.
so I went out there, and usually those to-do jobs take twice as long as you plan. But for some reason, they all got done in the first couple of days that we were there. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And so I thought, well, maybe I'll give this story I'll start, and it'll get me
Right.
going for the next
Just
year.
kind of see what I can do
Yeah.
with it for a minute.
And by the end of that week-long trip, I had, 10,000, 15,000 words written. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Well, then what happened is, while we were out there, we discovered that there's a pretty major, I had to redo my entire floor heating system, everything,
Yes.
pumps and everything. I thought,
Yep.
wow. So I had to plan for a month to get all the parts ready for that, and then take another trip out there because it's 500 miles away. And I thought, well, this is going to take me 4 to 5 days to get this all done. I had that done in 6 hours. So the Lord gave me another 4 days.
4 to 5 days.
And by the time I finished that trip, I was about halfway through the book, 30,000 words. And I thought, well, let's go for it. And that's when I said, hey, I think we're going to have a book after
Yeah.
all. So I think that was probably the interesting thing is
Much to your team's shock.
Yeah.
And this book finished before any other book that you finished is
it's
written before as well. Usually you're finishing around January, end of January. We're editing in February, but you were done with this book shortly after Christmas.
right. Yeah, this is going to be the earliest release we've probably had.
Yeah.
And for those of you that like the audiobooks, don't hold me to this, but the audiobook should be out much earlier than any of the previous ones, especially the last one.
Especially this last one.
And I'm hoping to get this out pretty quick this year. So
Yeah. Our audiobook listeners will be very pleased.
I hope so.
I think anything will please them compared to
Compared
this
to what
last
happened last
year.
year, I deeply apologize for that. That's all on me. So
Things happen. Life happens.
things happen. Yeah.
We get there. So, as we mentioned earlier, this book is an allegory and has lots of, symbolic references, and people and places obviously represent very specific people and places in the Bible.
Right.
Are there any that you can key us into a little bit that readers can be looking for
Yeah.
as they read it?
Yeah. Great.
Without giving away too many spoilers.
Yeah, no, great question. I think that's fair, and I don't think this will spoil much. Just the story of Paul. Maybe we'll talk to that, and that will keep the spoilers to a minimum. But it says that he spent 3 years in Arabia, and he didn't seek the counsel of men, but to seek the counsel of God. And I can only imagine that during that 3 years that he was just reshaping all of his prior knowledge
Yeah.
to align with the truth of the Messiah who had come, and he missed it. But now all of that incredible study and intellect that he had acquired had to be reshaped and reformed to align with the truth. And it just had to be such a process for him to go through.
Yeah.
And so I focus on that in this book. I focus on what that might have looked like allegorically. And so there's that. And then basically, when he comes back, he was the persecutor of the church, and
Right.
everybody was just
He was
afraid.
enemy number one.
The enemy number one, and he's going to show up at the council and say, "Hey, I'm on your side," So I explore those
I
things.
love that scene, by the way.
Yeah.
That was an awesome scene.
Well, thank you. It was fun to explore that. It was fun to just kind of imagine, the tension and the stress, the emotional, turmoil that people were going through. And I'm sure that he had to face people that he had really hurt, And so I delve into that too. I just kind of explore that journey. But ultimately, the overarching part of this is what Paul did for the church globally. And it just blew open the doors, by bringing this to the Gentiles. There was a huge shift in Scripture from a Jewish-centric, God intervention perspective to, hey, now it's the time of the Gentiles. And so those are kind of the major themes that are in this book. There's a lot there to deal with, but it was fun to explore.
Awesome. Like I said before, I absolutely loved it. What is it that you hope that a reader might sort of discover with this book? You know, I mean, every reader's going to come away with their own message from, hopefully from the Lord, that the Lord is teaching them, you know, through their own study of the Bible. And this might, you know, help instigate or guide some of that. Like, obviously, we hope that any message comes from the Lord. But is there anything from this book in particular that you really hope a reader can get out of it?
Yeah, thanks for that. Obviously, I don't write just to entertain. I never have. And so I appreciate the question, because the goal is to have these books impact us in our faith walk. And for this book in particular, I think there's a couple of things. Number one would be just to revitalize their passion for the scriptures, for that huge turning point in that covenant that God had with his people to a covenant with all people that choose Christ, and how that just shifted from the Jewish people to the Gentiles. But the God hasn't forgotten the Jewish people, and they are a huge part of, you know, his end game, you know. And so and I'll be dealing with that later. And so there's that. Just to revitalize their passion and renew their interest in that story. But then I think on a personal level, I would say that looking at the story of Paul, one thing I always really appreciated about Paul in the scripture is just how honest and transparent he is. I mean, he confesses things, and he just lays it out there, and it's just powerful. Yeah. And I 100 times in my life, I read, you know, I think of Romans in particular, and some of his other letters, and I'm just so grateful, and I just say, Lord, thank you that you chose Paul, because he's so transparent, and he calls us to be holy, but he also is very honest about who we are and how we're flawed and how he's flawed, and you know, he's the chiefest of sinners, you know. And if Paul says that, then I can say that and be honest with God and with my fellow man. So I think on a personal level, just for people to come away with a sense of how purifying it is to be transparent, honest, first with yourself, and then with the Lord, and then with those that are close to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chuck. We're going to end this here today. Thank you for all of you who stuck with us here through this. We're really excited for this book to come out, and we hope that you got to glimpse a little bit of the heart behind this book, as well as some of the fun details behind this book, the creation of this book. And we hope that this gets you excited to pick up a copy of your own. Where can we find copies of this book, Chuck?
Well, our website is the best place, right? chuckblack.com. And by the way, the book releases March 24th. And of course, they will also be available on Amazon and in all of your local bookstores if you check with them, because we do publish through Ingram Spark as well. So really just about everywhere. Anywhere that you can find a good book, you should be able to find this one. But yeah, come to our website, www.chuckblack.com, and we will start accepting pre-orders 2 weeks before March 24th. That's March 10th, I believe. So take a gander there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to The Warrior's Heart. You can find out more about Chuck's action-packed Christian allegory novels for ages 8 to adult on his website, chuckblack.com. If you want to hear about new episodes of The Warrior's Heart, please hit the subscribe button below, and please hit the like button if you felt strengthened by today's episode. Also, you can stay up to date with the latest of Chuck Black's resources for Christian families, including new faith-building books and audios, by subscribing to his email newsletter. Follow the link in the description below to sign up. Finally, it is our sincere prayer that this podcast would equip you, brave warrior of Christ, to put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything, to stand.